So welcome to the YouTube channel and the first ever video we've posted face to face on here. Now, I think this is something that I've delayed for quite a while, to be honest. I wanted to get into YouTube, made it quite public on Instagram at the end of the year, last year, that YouTube's going to be a big priority for me this year. And I think the reason it took me a little bit of time to really plan and get going, it wasn't, for any fancy lighting or camera or waiting for a certain date to get going. It's more just a case of what is the actual reason I want to post on YouTube, because I have no care about going viral. That completely just doesn't align with what I'm trying to do, which is coach. So going viral doesn't help that at all. If anything, it makes it worse. And yeah, just had no aspiration for YouTube being a revenue stream, or it being anything that I have to really focus on full time. So the reason I'm creating this channel, and the reason that I'm going down the street of what I'm putting on Instagram, give it another longer form sort of video on YouTube, is basically just to connect with the people I talk to on a daily basis on Instagram, my current clients, past clients and future clients, people doing Shred 8, whatever it is, just another form of communication, but in a bit more way of understanding what I get up to behind the scenes, whether it's coaching, downtime, what direction I take to the gym, all the behind the scenes that weirdly people do have a bit of an interest in, because realistically, who really cares about sitting there and listening to me talk about a calorie deficit for any longer than you need to on Instagram to then just put it into a 20-minute video on here? So I'm going to really avoid sitting here and talking through hundreds of minutes of fitness topics, but more just kind of throw it in there while taking you through my day-to-day life, holiday vlogs, different gyms, and to be honest, just use this platform as I say, where people who I talk to on Instagram on a daily basis can actually just see what I'm like behind a 30-second highlight reel of my physique after a chest day. And I also wanted to make sure that the first video I posted on this channel was one that made sense. I didn't, because the thing is, we're going to Vegas next month, and I was like, right, that is going to be content heaven. Losing all my money in a casino is going to be the best video you've ever seen. Just all the other shit we're going to get up to over there, like LA, Muscle Beach, because we're doing both sides, training Zoo Culture, Bradley Martin's gym. Just all these things are just going to be a good way to, as I said, show that different side that you just see advice and results and purely coaching with the odd day today, or day in the life on Instagram, to then put that into a bit longer form, as I say, while traveling. It's just going to be a lot more entertaining, and that's what we're looking to do. Just I have no intention of these videos passing more than 2 views. It'll be me and my cat who watch these videos, but it's just so, as I say, the clients and stuff can start to see that other side. So I didn't want to just jump on YouTube next month and it literally just be a case of casino vlog. I thought, let's actually just start where it makes sense and then just go off the fucking rails from there. That works a lot better in my head. So this first video, I actually just wanted to go through quickly, run over the topics of where I'm at today to where I was, so you can understand a bit more of the journey. Now, I've posted quite a lot about this on my page as well. For example, first month's wages when I was self-employed, just so people can see sometimes the value in taking a risk. And in absolutely no way am I ever trying to sit here talking about any guru type stuff, business type stuff. This is purely fitness based, but in terms of value. But the reason I mention about how I post that month's wages on Instagram is just because it all just relates. And if anyone does fitness or any sort of business, or they just have any sort of career aspiration, you realize how much the two really do relate in terms of the risk level and the fear and all those things. And yeah, so it's important to talk about the journey it takes. And so before I got into coaching then, which is what everyone watching this and what everyone will follow on Instagram will know me for now, if we were to work down pretty much the order of what's been going on the last few years, so it's been pretty much online coaching for the last 2-3 years, which already feels pretty nuts to say. And then before that, it was 2 years in a gym floor, but also slash investing in my first coach myself and a mentor. And that was also including a time period where I went away on holiday, which changed a lot as well. And then before that, it was a brief period at uni. We'll get into that. Mixed with trying to do some other random online business just to have an excuse to get out of uni, to be honest. And that was also mixed with making my first ever gym post directed to trying to push plans or whatever it was to get into that coaching space. And then college and lockdown and how that affected everything. And then before that, it was starting the gym at 12 years old and how that was growing up in school, being that the first person to start the gym. You can imagine getting ripped apart for that one. But if we just go back to complete start, then starting off when I got into the gym myself, which obviously is the only reason I'm here doing what I'm doing today. Like, if I didn't get in the gym, I don't know, I'd be a fucking dork, I'll tell you that for free. But I don't know what I'd be doing. Because to be honest, at that point, I think this is the reason I got into the gym so easily. Like, one day when I was 12, Dad took me down, and honestly speaking, I don't think since that day I've missed a day training from 4 to 5 days a week, unless it was a rest day or a holiday. In terms of exams, travel, uni, like even when I started doing this or any job I've been transitioning through, I don't think I've ever had one day where, unless it was a rest day, where I haven't trained. And to be honest, that probably does include a holiday as well. Like, I don't think there's been many holidays I've been to where I haven't kept up at least 2 to 3 days in the gym. And that's only if we have to travel for it. If there's one in the hotel, we're pretty much there every day. So yeah, literally since I've been going to gym since I was 12, that was all I've done. So it's very hard to sit here and say what I would be doing instead, because I don't think there was ever anything else I was ever going to do from a hobby perspective and a job perspective. And I think that was why it was so easy for me to get into the gym, because I think at like 12 to 16, I feel like school can feel like there's a lot of pressure in terms of, or just anything at that age, even into like 20s as well. I just feel like you almost feel like everyone expects an answer from you to know what you're doing, but you almost make that argument up in your own head. Like, no one really cares what you're doing. School don't really care; they're just doing their job. But you feel that pressure of, oh, I'm meant to decide on uni, colleges, jobs, and I'm going to be out there on the world on my own, but I don't even know what I'm doing myself. And you put this pressure on yourself to figure that out. And when I got into the gym, that pressure was just like completely gone. I was like, I'm just going to train. Like, I don't even care about anything else. Obviously didn't know what a bill was back then, but I just train. Like, I just get up, go to school, and I would go to the gym sometimes. Obviously I was too young to actually go in on my own, so I was just training with some weights in the garage like 5 to 6 days a week, pretty much just doing bicep curls all the time, which like very slowly get into like bodyweight squats and pull-ups on the side of a garage. But it was nothing like strenuous to the point where I was gonna damage myself at a young age. But it was just like the odd day in the gym, running machine, chest press, cables, just slowly getting into using the equipment. And obviously when you go into like a UK school off the back of doing that, as I said, you're obviously going to get ripped apart. Like, you think you're big, you tense in, why is your top tight? I mean, like, just taking the piss out of like any little angle you can. I think, honestly, even when I was in year 10, like, you're getting to a point where you like to think you're maturing a little bit. If I had any disagreement or argument or anything with anyone, the only thing that I'd ever get told was, "Oh, why don't you just go back to the gym?" As if it was some like massive insult. And at the time, like I even then, like I never understood. Even now, I never understood what that meant. But I think weirdly, it was also the time where the gym was just not a cool thing to do. Whereas now, you're getting taken the piss out of in school, I'm sure, if you don't go to the gym. So, and you feel weird as an adult if you're not training. Obviously, not that you should, but you feel like the minority. Whereas back in the day, even like 5 years ago, you're the one who doesn't train. You're obviously like the one who's doing the normal thing. Like, just going to work, going to school, doing your thing, whatever. But then you add the gym into that. Back in the day, it would be like completely different. But now, as I say, it's absolutely huge, and that's only happened in the last few years. So I got into it at a good time. Got like a few years ahead of people I knew and stuff, which was great in the moment. But yeah, it was definitely like a weird time period. I got into gym at 12, haven't really missed a day since. And I think that's a lot of it as well is due to like just personality, in the way where some people, I think, are constantly flicking between what they think they're meant to do, or just what even their hobbies are. Like, it's always looking for next best thing, and it's so short term driven. Like, when I think the first time I stepped in the gym, obviously I know I was young, to be fair, but I can't actually remember until I started coaching actually goal setting in terms of what it is I'm trying to achieve in the gym. It was always just a case of like, I don't really care what the goal is right now, but I do also know that as long as I'm training and I'm trying to learn a bit with food, which I didn't really have much of an idea about the food side, but I was like, as long as I'm learning a few things every day in the gym with nutrition, I know it's only going to lead to something, whether that's a good result. And obviously, I think when you start the gym and there's not loads of knowledge, you kind of also think that you can just look at a photo of someone and think, okay, I'm going to look like that and just train, and you'll look at them. Obviously, throughout the years, I've learned it is nothing like that at all. But that was kind of all I was doing. I was just like listening to like, back in the day, like John Cena, The Rock, watching videos, stuff like that, WWE, all that kind of stuff. And that would literally just be, you'd see those people online and that would be the motivation. And then obviously now like YouTube, TikTok, there's so much noise and it's gone away. I think now fitness has come away from like the actual, oh, I look like him, so I'm going to do it. And more just like, it's become so draining and toxic. Like, honestly, it's all about hate, comments, like no one can do anything positive now. It's just the maddest thing ever. So I'm not even going to go into that. Trying to completely avoid that side, to be honest, when it comes to anything I do. But so yeah, pretty much gym at 12, worked, like just did not like stop training, like any bit of abuse and whatever. It was all just a laugh, to be honest, in my head. And then when it came to college, that college was probably like one of the sickest times, to be honest. Like, we literally were in college for 3 months. We got rumoured with lockdown. Everyone was like, oh, shut up. Like, what the hell is that? Like, no one believed it. Teachers telling us to get a life if we thought it was going to happen. And then literally, like, we spent from month 3 of college, the rest of it, and that was when it was like 35 degrees in the UK, so that was just insane. So it was literally from college, 3 months, which was actually a good 3 months, so I was actually a bit sad that college did shut. Not to be a nerd, but we weren't really doing anything. And then we had lockdown from like the rest of the year into the summer. And the maddest part was in year 2 of college, it was only a 2-year thing. We came back into college and then went back into a lockdown, saying this like it didn't happen to everyone. But you know what I mean? It was like, to actually think we went back just to be pulled back out is just absolutely nuts, to be honest. So college was sick. That happened. And then we went into lockdown again. And then we came back for a week. We played a 90-minute game of football every day against the other classes. That got messy. And then we literally just left. So, but lockdown was good. Met my girlfriend in lockdown. I pretty much learned a lot of the stuff I know in the gym now, like physique, food, nutrition was completely like locked in during lockdown. Like, it was every day, walk in the morning, train, run, and then play FIFA till 3 a.m. because it was fucking lockdown. But that was the routine. It was literally just like train, learn, watch videos on bodybuilding, on fitness, on everything like that, and just eat like anything and everything, which now obviously I know isn't the best approach, but when I was like 16, whatever, it was just like, to be fair, at that point, that was when I got into the phase, which a lot of people might be in now watching this, where it's like, okay, Anthony Joshua's diet, let me just follow Anthony Joshua's diet. Now obviously realising his calories, like, was so unnecessary for me to be eating what a pro boxer, heavyweight boxer was eating. It was like a foot taller than me, about 20 kg heavier at the time. But it's all part of the fun. That's how you learn, really. So college lockdown, nothing crazy happened, I don't think, to be honest. That was that. It was just grew up, met new people and stuff like that. And then this is when it obviously turned a bit more into, it feels like a blink since after that to here now. And it's been like 4, 5, 6 years or whatever. So after that, it was midway through college. It was like, right, what are we going to do after? Okay, I'll sign up for strength and conditioning and rehabilitation at university, because I said I was going to do that when I was like 10 years old. So my sister go to uni. I looked at the courses. I was like, I'm going to do that. And I literally just did that. Like, I just was like, oh, I said I was going to do it back in the day, so I got to do it now. But I've always been decent at that. Like, if I say I'm going to do one thing, I'm very easy at not getting too distracted, which I think has helped, obviously, staying at the gym since I was 12 and doing this like with a lot of joy as well, not really causing much stress for myself doing like a fitness business or anything. So when applied for uni, that was a pain in the ass. Anyone who's applied for uni, that whole, like, I'm not even going to say anything just in case, but those whole websites are just fucking, they take years to sort out. It felt like probably a couple nights of just not actually doing it. Applied for uni, got in, sound, but it was a bit weird because it was like I was like 17, 18, and I literally like kind of just met my girlfriend. We had like a good lockdown, good summer, and then it was like, now I'm going to uni. I never really had interest in going out, so I was always at home. So yeah, it was quite weird. Then it hit me when I went, and first like 3 nights at uni, it was like freshers. A few people I knew were there. There's a few people from the same area, so I had a good group there. But I just like, after 2 nights, I just like was so bored. Like, I just couldn't deal with it, and like the course, I was in that kind of gym bro phase where it was just like lift, eat. Like, I didn't want to hear any of that sciencey stuff back then, to be honest. But to be honest as well, like it wasn't just. was just nothing I could really apply to what I realised I wanted to do. Like, I always kind of knew I'd go down some sort of fitness route, and I knew that if I was going to go down a fitness route, it wouldn't be what I was learning on like a rehab course. Like, to be honest, like, don't get me wrong, there are still lessons I look back on now, but like, okay, I could probably do with that value now, and it's all applicable to the people I'm working with now. But to be honest, like, I'm not trying to sit there and say I know everything, because I definitely didn't. But that was almost one of the things that put me off. It wasn't like I was going there to like learn all these random topics that I had no care in the world about. It was more like, right, I want to excel my knowledge in what I already know, so I can always kind of master that field. But that just wasn't really what I was doing. So I was like meeting a few people at uni in terms of like mates, and we were like going out a little bit, but I don't think I went out like since freshers. And I was there, I literally got to the 3 month mark, and I was just coming home on the train, like 3 hour train every Friday, 3 hour train every Sunday, spending all my money on that just to come home and sit there and just like go back to the gym I was happy and comfortable in. I was training in the morning at uni, training in the evening at uni. I'd only go to the classes that really include weights, to be honest. As I say, I still learn a fair bit of like the science and nutrition, but it really, that all came from not self-taught obviously, but like investing in courses when it came to doing what I'm doing now, when I actually needed to apply it. Because it's always hard to like, this is why people aren't motivated in the gym, to be honest, is that you're trying to force yourself to do something which isn't right for you. Like, it's why you need to find your goal, your why, work with someone who relates to that. You're not all going to just be in that same boat. And I definitely wasn't at uni. So even like a couple months, I literally sat down with my tutor and I was just like, mate, like, I'm done with this. Do you know what I mean? I was like, I don't really want to do it. And he kind of like a little bit convinced me to stay, but I also think it was the fear of, could I just fucking ruin my whole life here? Like, that's what it felt like. It was like, I don't want to be someone who dropped out of uni, because that just sounds bad. And it was kind of like put in my head like, yeah, that's not really good. Like, just from thinking about it and just researching about it, it just didn't sound good. So I actually ended up staying for the rest of the year, which looking back, it all worked out, but definitely wasn't the smartest move, because I just sat there in my room. I don't even know really. I just sat in my room. I was training. I was doing the courses online. I'd go to biomechanics, things I still use today. And when I'd have a good group of mates there, like, yeah, and weirdly towards the end of uni, I actually got into like, I was in the flow of like, do you know what? If I'm going to do this, I'm just going to do it right. Let me just go all in. And to be honest, I think the reason I wanted to go all in on the uni at the time is because it just gave me like a distraction, and it gave me a socially accepted reason to not have to do anything. I think uni is great if you know what you want to do. I don't want to sound generic because everyone says this, but personally speaking, uni's great if you know what you want to do. And I thought I knew what I wanted to do, so uni was great. But then I realised this isn't what I want to do. Which sounds like it does relate, but there's so much more to fitness than just like the same thing. So doing a fitness degree at uni didn't really relate to what I'm, as much as what I'm doing now as it sounds like it does. So yeah, it always just felt good to have something where if anyone came up to me and said, what are you doing with your life at the moment? I said, I'm at uni studying this, and I might do a master's in the science stuff, like, because it was all sciencey as well. It always just felt like getting that well done was enough for me to stay, which looking back is stupid, but it's also how I learned of like, it doesn't, people's perception of you doing well isn't always meaning you're doing well. But I had to learn that through realizing the amount of people that were saying, oh, well done. And then I was like, yeah, but I'm not happy or fulfilled. So that's when I learned like, okay, I'll be happy and fulfilled, and then people can say well done or they won't, but you don't care at that point. So I literally ended up staying just to then get into the midsummer point and be like, yeah, I'm gonna stay and do this. Didn't even like, I would have had to retake my exams for the second year because it hit me as like, oh yeah, I haven't been studying this, so I'm going to go all in. But I'm going all in at the times they're setting us these papers, which I know now nothing about. So I just kind of winged them, sat at home for the summer, and then they're like, right, if you're going to come back, you might have to pay this extra, and I was like, nah, I'm done. So midway through summer, I realised I wasn't going to do it. So yeah, that was a stressful one. And then that was actually midway through that summer, because girlfriend's family are from Brazil. That was the first time I went to Brazil, and that was when I was like, went away for a good couple of weeks, and that was when I kind of sat there and I was like, right. And also in between that time, I managed to get like a little, just like 2 days a week job in the gym. So bear in mind, I was like 18, working 2 days in the gym, barely earning enough to like kind of like eat. But in my head, it was like, I was annoyed because I wanted to be further ahead. I was like, I was meant to go to uni, do this thing that everyone was saying well done about. And then I'm coming like working in the gym, which is great. But I was like, you know what? I'm not even going to overthink it out. I'm just going to keep my head down. I'm going to train, and I'm just going to take action every day on something. So that was when I was in Brazil, obviously just having a good time. And obviously every night we got like pissed up there. I'd just sit down with a moment in my head like, what am I actually doing? Not in terms of Brazil, that was great, but in terms of like when I get home, what am I doing? I didn't want to just distract myself at that point. So I was like, right, when I get back, I'm gonna get a PT course. I'm just gonna do my qualification just to have it. But I also I've never like been someone who does something just to have it. It's almost like if I'm going to do it, I'm just going to do it, or I'm not going to waste my time just to have it. Like that's never really aligned with what I like to do. I like to play the long game, but a bit of urgency would be nice as well. So I was like, no, I'm not just going to do it to have it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to try and push the PT in this gym. But if that's not really something I can do, I'm going to try and get a opportunity, a bit of a higher end gym where like a hotel base, like spa based kind of gym with like a nice gym. People coming in are willing to invest in their health and fitness. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to go down that route. So, and every time I'm quite lucky. Every time I've said I'm going to do something like that, it's always happened. But there's always a twist which makes me kind of push further. I'm just waiting for the next one, to be honest. But I was literally in that gym, tried to push PT. It was a bit harder to do there. I wasn't really set up in that position to do it. I've been training there for so long. It was hard to kind of then change my name from someone who just have a laugh within the gym to like, oh, do you want me to coach you? Obviously not really going to work. So then I literally did what I said. I got a job at the gym that I thought was at the high end in the area. And that was like, in my head, that was like, I've done it now. Do you know what I mean? Like, weirdly, like, I didn't know what the ceiling was to work in fitness. I didn't know where I really wanted to take it. I didn't really have any idea. I was just kind of going with the flow and enjoying my training. And that's what I recommend to anyone watching this who wants to get somewhere in fitness. Just enjoy your training. Just kind of walk the walk yourself a little bit. And like, it'll find you at some point, like, what it is you want to do. Like, not everyone has to be a PT. Not everyone has to coach. There's other things you can do. In the space. But yeah, literally, like, I got into that gym, and for me that was like, even though looking back now, it's like I did everything I could to get out in the end. But for me at the time, that was like, I've made it. It was like, right, I've got a bit of money in the bank now. Like, I've got an actual wage. Like, the first time I got like a wage, like a full-time wage. But like, don't get me wrong, it very quickly crept up on me that like working there from like 2 till 10 I was doing, then the next day is like 5 till 2 like AM, and it was just like a bit relentless. And I wanted to go there and coach, but as you know, if you do fitness instructing, you're more kind of cleaning, you're dealing with things you don't really want to do. But I was proper enthusiastic. Like, I was there, the people that we were working with, like a lot of the guys there were like really good, like similar age, and like made some good friends who I still speak to today, like every day. But we literally, I don't know, just kind of hit a wall where like I really wanted to PT there, and I really wanted to push it, and I was like grafting my qualifications, got my qualifications done, and I was like ready to push it. But then this is where it flipped into like where I am now. So I kind of went on holiday, and we went to Los Angeles, and that was all just like normal holiday, fine, like 2 weeks or just a little bit over. And before I went, a video came up on my page of someone who was an online coach, and I related to them just in terms of about how they looked. So I related in terms of their physique. And I just kind of thought, like, he looks like he's absolutely like not living the dream like financially. I've never cared about that, but more in the way of like, he just looks fulfilled. Like, training here, he's got this client result, and this is his desk, and it just was all little things which you could snap your fingers and have. Not like, it wasn't ridiculous things I was asking for, but it was just like, I was like, just kind of sat there thinking that that's what I should be doing right now. Like, it just clicked with me so fast, and I was probably like 18, turning 19 here, and I was just like, why am I not doing that? So I went to LA, or like on holiday to America, and in my head on the whole way there, it was like, right, I'm going to get some content here, and I'm just going to bite the bullet and post on social media. Because since I was 12, I wanted to do it when I was training. But I was like, I'm not getting taken a piss out about that. So I'm just going to get a normal job, whatever. Maybe work as an in-person PT. But I'm not posting because I just felt so... And now look at this shit. But I was like, I'm not getting taken a piss out of. But then seeing that video, it opened my eyes to like a whole world of people who don't even know you exist, who might actually value your advice and want your help, and also find you a bit entertaining. So I looked through a few like coaches' profiles, and I literally said to myself when I went away, I was like, right, I'm going to America now. I'm going to enjoy the job I've got in the gym. And if I can push that and do both, I will. But I was also like, give me a sign if this is where it needs to go up again. And I just never got satisfied until I really found that one thing. But then since I found that thing, it's been like every single second of your day is driven towards growing that one thing you want to do. So I literally went on holiday, and I was saying to myself, I was like, right, I'm enjoying this. I'm gonna give it 5 to 10 years of literally making no money as an online coach. But as long as it works in the end, and I can just afford my bills, food, and gym membership, I will never ask for anything. I was just like, I don't care about money. I don't care about anything. As long as I can have my own diary. I can train people for a living. That is like the absolute dream, and that is all I cared about. And even now, you push further, obviously, but I always, if anything gets a bit tough or hard, I always just kind of spring back down to reality and just say, like, all you ever wanted was to be able to do this full time. It was never about growing some stupidly big business. Obviously, as I say, your goals do change, but that's what I always do. Just go back to that. So I was on the holiday. I was thinking, right, I'm gonna push this for like 10 years, but I'm gonna really enjoy the job I've got now because I asked for it, and I really want to still give my value in person because I think it's important as well. And like I said, that job was good. Like, we were watching the World Cup on shift sometimes, but it was just like any job. Like, I'm not gonna say too much on it, but it was literally just like you just get spoken like shit half the time in the end, and you're getting told to do things which really aren't your like job role, and then you're getting shit for not doing them, and it's just like, need to speak to you tomorrow, and you're just going to bed every day just like dreading the next day. And I was like, yeah, I'm not doing this. Like, I'd rather go back to uni if it's gonna be like this, because I'd rather just reset. But when I was away, I was getting a few messages just from mates, and basically just people saying like, yeah, some of the members are pretty much just saying this about you, this about you, this about you, and it was all just bullshit, really. It was all just stuff that was like, because you're trying to be an in-person PT, and there's other PTs and just things like that. Like, it was all just a bit like any kind of, it's just gossip. It was just like school. And I literally just came back, and when I was away, I literally decided, I was like, right, I'm not going back to that. I just it takes one thing like that to I just close it off. I don't care about the money at that point. I just close it off. So I literally was like, right, I was really enjoying it there, but I'm not going back and dealing with these rumours, because I'm the one who has to stand behind a desk all the time and actually have to like look at these people who I know are saying these and that professional, and I just did not have it in me to act like that. So I literally was on that holiday. I was like, right, I'm going to message the guy I first saw as a coach. I'm going to ask him how much he charges. I don't care what the money is. It was more than I could. It was way more than I could afford. Which is why, to be honest, when some people tell me they can't afford coaching, I sometimes just don't want to hear it, because I could not afford what this guy was charging. But I just did it. I just found a way to do it because it was priorities, and like the same level of priority someone might have if they're really insecure. It's like, the coaching is not ever going to cost more than an arm and a leg, or even near an arm and a leg. But it's just the value of making it worth it. And I've had loads of people on calls where they're like, "Oh mate, is that all you charge? That's fuck all." And I've had loads of people say, I'm not playing that. Do you know what I mean? It's just priorities. But in my head, he could have said any number in the world, 500, 600, 700, 800 pound a month, and I'd have paid it, because I was just like, get me on this path right now, because I knew it was right. So I was on the holiday, messaged the coach, came back, had a call, got on with the coach, got signed up. I worked, handed him a notice at the job, literally handed him a notice at the job with nothing else lined up. If anything, I'd just worsened my financial situation. I quit my job, and I had a couple £100 a month going out on a coach. So I was literally just like, but when you're just in that mindset of like, this is going to work. Like, no one can tell me otherwise. Like, I didn't really tell many people I was doing that. I just was like, this is going to work. And I was just like, every day I was going to bed excited of like what the next step was the next day. So I was absolutely like shit hot on my diet, training, content. And I was obviously crap content, to be honest, back then. Like, I was posting pictures of a mirror selfie, plans in bio, coaching in bio was the only caption, building no relationships with people. There was no humour, there was no personality. But I just think it grew pretty quickly because I was training since I was 12. So people listened to me because I was in good shape and I seemed to pick up quite quickly on what was working and what wasn't. And I was also had a coach, which at the time was a bit like a mentor as well. So I managed to push on quite quickly of just pure mindset and just passion for doing it, and also just that kind of back against the wall attitude of like, I hate the position I'm in now, let me push on. And that was literally all it took for me. It was literally just like, right, take a huge gamble, quit your job. There was a month's notice. During the month's notice, give him more shit, didn't come back, had a couple £100 a month going out, no income, worked in like another gym just for like a day or two a week. And that was great. Obviously, I was really thankful for someone to like pick me up that quickly so I could have that support and just that safety net. But then literally, I think within a month of quitting my job, having no clients, to working with a coach and all that, like I said, I don't want to make any sort of business guru content. It's not what I'm doing. It's more mindset at this point. But I literally went from no clients, just with money coming out for a coach, no job, no income. I had £200 in my bank, and I think that was just about enough to pay the monthly fee. And then the month after, I was full time. I had about 15 clients. I didn't really have a set price at that point, but 15 clients get you a decent chunk. Do you know what I mean? So I was living all right. And I just pretty much went up every day from there, like not just on a client base and a financial base, but I literally just, like, every day it was like, right, knowledge, post, talk to people, knowledge post, talk to people, knowledge post, talk to people, coach, get result, lose a client, crack on, keep the mindset sharp, keep remembering where you came from. I literally just did that like every day, and then 3 years later, just still here. Like it's weird. Like it was like so eventful in those months, and it was so like, when you get in that mindset where it's like sink or swim, it's complete hunger, it's back against the wall, you hate your position, you do something about it, you take full accountability, you don't point fingers, you don't let anyone tell you can't do it, you literally just get off your ass and just do it every single day until it works, and you just do not stop until it works. So you know in your head, like, I don't care what happens, I could go in so much debt, I could lose like so much sleep over it, but if I don't stop, it worked for so many other people. And as I said, this wasn't even like a financial thing for me. That was the motivation of finances will never get you anywhere. And trust me, if you just motivate yourself through finances when it comes to trying to push anything in life, you're literally just you'll hit finances that you thought were good, and then you're just gonna realize your life's the same. It's the same people who say to me all the time, like, oh, I can't really afford this. Your problem isn't the money you're earning, it's what you're doing with it, and it's how you're living your life. It always is. So there's just not much sympathy for that, to be honest. So, but only because I was in that situation myself. It's like, no, I genuinely could not afford it, and I didn't have the time and all this kind of thing. And when I was in that period where it was like, quit my job, earning no money and stuff, like, I was still training every single day. I was lucky enough to have quite a big discount on the gym because I worked there. I obviously was not training at the one I just quit. I haven't even been there since. So yeah, that was like the main basis of training from 12, going through school in the UK at that, kind of being one of the only people who trained, to then going into college lockdown, to then uni, to then dropping out of uni, but wanting to stay, so that caused confusion. Going into a gym part-time at 18, just earning just enough for food, to then getting a job I thought was going to be like the foot in the door for me going forward. Going on holiday, coming back, shit happened, quit the job and no money, and literally just enough to pay a coach, if it was even enough, to then just growing what I am now. So like I said, I didn't want to sit here at the start and try to claim that I've gone from homeless to fucking Donald Trump, but just a bit of an overview on where things are at, and that no path to anything is ever going to be straightforward. But at the end of the day, I would not change one thing on that path. And to be honest, I just hope even more comes with it, because you just do not learn anything if it's just all straight road. Like, if you're expecting, even with your fitness results, if you're expecting to just go in the gym and for it to all work out, like any goal, anything like that, to be straightforward, it's never gonna be. But you've got to understand the fun part in that as well. And this is why, like, bringing this all back round to fitness, because as I say, I really don't want to come across like one of them coaches who decides to try to give you business advice because they've got a few clients. Like, it's not that deep. Do you know what I mean? So literally, the one thing that you could take from this is that if you get into the gym, or you're already in the gym, but you double down on that and you focus your life around getting the result you want to get, it will lead you down some path. Obviously, I'm not saying everyone has to go and become an online coach. Probably got enough of them nowadays. But it's more the way of, like, it will just, little lessons that you teach yourself of, like, showing up for the long game and things like that will always just come back around when you don't realise how much you need them. Like, learning, like, for me, it's been a case of any time I've ever wanted anything out of life, it'd be so small or so big, it's always just looking back to, like, okay, well, how did you get results in the gym? Because that's the hardest thing to do. If you can change your body, you got to turn up every day. You don't change a day, you don't change a week, you don't change a month. It might take 2 years to see a bit of progress for some people. It depends on genetics and depending on what they know. But if you can be someone who you can look back and be like, right, I've literally turned up every day for 10 years, I'm sure I can get this task done and stuff like that. And it just kind of builds that, like, jar of social proof for yourself. Or, like, whenever something goes wrong, it's like, okay, well, let's look back at what happened in lockdown, what happened in the 2 gym jobs I was in, what happened in uni, and when I went on holiday and thought, yeah, I'm going to go and smash this, come back and it's all gone to shit. Quit your job with no money in the bank and you got a massive outgoing now. But I'm not going to tell everyone I'm not going to try to give loads of advice like that, but the one thing that's always worked for me is just that saying of burning the boats. Literally, just anything you think is keeping you safe now is holding you back. Don't stay safe. Don't let people talk you out of doing something which is out of the norm. Because just like how fitness was, right, when I started, it was out of the norm, and then you're a dickhead now if you're not training. I'm not saying you are, but that's how people think. It's going to be the same in another 10 years. If you're the only person in 10 years who you're not the one who's taking the risk, you're not the one who started that channel, you're not the one who's done something like that, then again, you're going to be the idiot. So don't compare yourself. Stop getting left behind. Stop talking yourself out of things. And again, this just always comes back down to the smaller part of just starting the gym. Stop talking yourself out of it. Stop telling yourself you don't have the time. Stop telling yourself you don't have the motivation. Because every single person who's been on some sort of fitness transformation, I can guarantee it's very rarely just start the gym, eat good, train good, transform. It probably comes from somewhere a bit deeper, and it's probably led them on a bit of a different path. So I didn't even mean for this video to get deeper motivation, to be honest, but I guess it was always going to when you're trying to talk about what happened, where you were and where you are now. So hopefully everyone enjoyed that one. The videos will not be as boring and shit as this one, in terms of talking about what I'm doing. But no, this is I think the right video to start the channel, so you can just pretty much understand what I do now and why I do it. I hadn't even really gone over what I do now, but everyone will be coming from Instagram anyway. So now it's just full-time online coach. We work with a good group of people, starting to get a bit more selective who comes in. Like, I just want to work with guys who just genuinely just want to gain clarity on their mission, lose some body fat, gain muscle. They're pretty dedicated. They're happy to be on plan 99% of the time. We mix in the odd social, and just don't put too much pressure on it. Just like this channel ain't going to be too much pressure. You're not going to see too much fancy editing from me, but who needs to see that anyway? So thank you for watching. See you in the next one. And if the next one isn't losing all my money at casino, it will be soon.